It was so bad that Fox had to cut the feed. That was the state of the breakfast Donald Trump held this morning for the National Governors Association, an event that was going to be a disaster before it even started, because Trump has spent the past days and weeks attacking both Republican and Democratic governors who were planning on going to the White House. But what no one could have predicted is what the Supreme Court did this morning, striking down Donald Trump's tariffs and sending him spiraling. So much so, he was screaming expletives about the court during his speech in front of every single, or almost every single governor in the nation, because Donald Trump, of course, did make a couple of exceptions in who he wanted to invite, and that is where this disastrous event starts. Before we see Fox cutting the feed, I want to hear from Wes Moore, who Donald Trump said was not allowed to come to the White House, banning him completely, and Wes Moore, of course, clapped back before we get into Trump's meltdown, his screaming and his expletives.
Trump seems to be a bit obsessed with you right now. I don't know if you've noticed that. It's one way of putting it, I guess. I mean, he disinvited you from the White House National Governors Association dinner. He's been on a bit of a rampage, as was his White House press secretary, who I'm sure maybe he directed to do that, about blaming you for the Potomac sewage leak, which is a big issue, but it's not something that is under your jurisdiction. What is this all about, in your view?
I mean, I wish the president wasn't as obsessed with me and he'd be more obsessed with the American people and what they're going through. He seems to be wholly obsessed with me. I just wish he'd be more obsessed with them. You know, if you look at the past few days, that we have introduced legislation and testified on legislation that ends the practice of price manipulation at supermarkets. So bringing the price down for supermarkets so people's data are not being used against them when they go into supermarkets. That in the past days, that we have worked with Democratic and Republican governors to get PJM, the regional grid operator, to cap their price increases for not 2, but for the next 4 years. That we have focused on bringing new economic development avenues like the Sphere, which is coming to Maryland, which is going to generate about $1.3 billion annually once completed. During that same period of time, the President of the United States has decided to change the colors on Air Force One, has now installed a new ballroom, and probably has tweeted about me every 30 minutes. Like, this is absurd. And when the president says, that if Governor Moore asks me nicely to help with the sewage issue, which, by the way, is a breakage of a DC pipe on federal land, Maryland has nothing to do with this. My answer to the president is this: I'm asking you nicely, Mr. President, please do your job. And please stop looking at all of us to have to cover up for the type of inaction that we're seeing from this White House.
This is not the first example of Donald Trump being obsessed with Wes Moore and talking about him constantly. Of course, we know Donald Trump is always going to choose to go after people of color first in his disgusting and racist attacks, testing out his agenda. And it was many months ago when I spoke with Governor Moore about the prospect of Donald Trump sending in his armed thugs to Maryland. And of course, then Governor Moore challenged Donald Trump to take a walk without a golf cart, and that really sent him spiraling, but he ended up not doing so, suffering a defeat on, of course, the issue that has been plaguing him most, his standing army, or at least plaguing him most as of late. So Donald Trump already has that bit of contention with, of course, many Democratic governors, but what we really didn't expect is a Republican governor, specifically the governor of Oklahoma, also in attendance today, to be making chirps about Trump, his Congress, and their failures. Again, this event was set up to fail. I want to hear what this Republican governor had to say before we see the Fox cut feed.
It feels like we're a car racing towards a cliff. And right now, my party's driving, and the Democratic Party's in the passenger seat. And we're fighting over the control of the radio. And our car is racing towards the cliff here. And then, in 3 years, we may have a Democrat driving and the Republicans will be in the passenger. And we'll still be fighting over what's on the radio. Congress is not getting anything done. We haven't passed a balanced budget in Congress since the 90s. Bill Clinton was the last time that we actually had a balanced budget.
I think it's funny. I know that this governor is kind of remarking upon the state of our politics generally over an extended period of time. But it is funny to say, man, a couple of years ago, someone really changed our politics for the worse. I wonder who that could be. Oh, it was Trump. Yep. Oh man, this Congress, it's really ineffective. I wonder it's a Republican Congress, and it's been a Republican Congress, and okay, maybe you should just say it's the fault of the Republicans, which he was, of course, softly floating. But this governor, the governor of Oklahoma, is someone that Donald Trump has been going to war with, calling him a rhino, calling him a fake Republican. So again, this event, all these governors, it was destined to fail. And then the Supreme Court gave Donald Trump some news. And so as Donald Trump's own daughter-in-law, of course, Laura Trump, was talking about the transparency of this administration, they kicked everyone out and they had to cut the feed as Trump was yelling at reporters.
People feel, more in line with this president and more like they can trust our federal government, where for so long, for so many decades, it felt like there was something kind of being held back. This president saying, let's put it all out there. So I'm paying attention too.
Laura, speaking of your father-in-law and President Trump, let's go to him now. He's in the state dining room as he has the governors there for a breakfast. I think we could have him here. Oh, they're framing up the shot, and here you go.
Exiting out this morning. When will you be making that decision, sir?
Who's that person? Are you considering?
Thank you, Fred. Thank you. All right, Laura, I don't know what happened there. It looks like the pool was in. He said he would take some questions, and now the pool might be going out. Laura? So while we wait for that, he's going to be talking to the governors. One of the things, did we still have Laura? There we go. Okay, great.
So I couldn't exactly hear what that reporter was kind of asking Donald Trump. I suspect it was about tariffs, because after the Fox feed was cut, and again, really funny that Laura Trump was like, this is such a transparent administration, and they want us to be able to hear from them and see them. And the Fox hosts are like, oh great, we're gonna watch Trump's speech now. This is gonna be fantastic. A little bit of filler, and then it's like, nope, no speech for you. Not allowed. Not gonna happen. And I think that was done. That they cut the feed, of course, because they were being kicked out, but because Trump's handlers had to know what was coming, because CNN reported on it right after. Donald Trump screaming, melting down, swearing, attacking the court. I just am not surprised, but
this. Yeah, Pamela, we still have no official reaction from the White House or President Trump. We are waiting. I am told that they are meeting, discussing how they are going to respond. But we have learned more about what happened in the room when President Trump was with those governors, and he learned of the Supreme Court decision. Apparently, the breakfast had been going well. They were working together. And then President Trump became enraged. He started ranting about the decision, not only calling it a disgrace, but started attacking the courts, at one point saying, these effing courts, but using the actual language there. We know that President Trump does use expletives on quite often when he is enraged in particular. Now, this, of course, comes as this tariff policy. This could not be a bigger decision for President Trump. This could not be a bigger loss for President Trump. Not only is so much of his economic agenda based on these tariffs, so much of his foreign policy is based on these tariffs. He has used these tariffs as leverage in almost every meeting that he has had around the world. He has touted them as the most important part of the economic agenda. So clearly a huge loss, and he recognizes that today. Pamela?
All right, Kristen Holmes.
yeah, it's no surprise that Donald Trump was going to be melting down, and it was going to be for one reason or another. This morning, it was tariffs, and I'm sure the governors in the room were not too pleased to have Donald Trump scream at them for about an hour. Hopefully the breakfast was worth it. Honestly, I don't know why you'd want to go to that event. It just really doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But funny that they all had to get kicked out knowing that there was going to be a meltdown coming from Trump. And I am sure that the Truth Social post on the way is going to be really bad, especially because one governor who is notably not there, Governor Gavin Newsom, just made some news of his own. He is now, after having successfully sued Donald Trump and moving forward with blocking these tariffs, Governor Newsom is demanding, and he should, that Donald Trump refund every single dollar that his tariffs cost Americans. What is it, about $1,700, I'd say, so far through this year that have been charged, unnecessarily taxed because of Donald Trump's tariffs? I completely agree. Donald Trump said that we were going to be getting a check for the tariffs, which he then forgot about. And he said, quite frankly, I don't know what you're talking about. I never said that. Oh, I said that? Well, I didn't mean it because we're going to invade Barbados. I don't know. Someone distract. I don't know. Please don't ask me. But now, no. Donald, how about we revisit that check? Because Donald Trump has been complaining, Scott Bessent has been complaining that if we lose the tariff revenue, which we don't need, we could also just tax the wealthy, by the way. That would be a better tax instead of taxing consumers. But if we lose this revenue and the tariffs are struck down, then we're going to have to pay all this money back, and it's going to bankrupt us. Now, it's not actually that much money. We do have the money. It is not going to bankrupt us. But stores like, I actually don't believe that Costco has hiked their prices, but big box retailers, stores like, I don't know, if you're from the South, Publix, right? Walmart, Target, or whatever your grocery store chain is, Kroger, anything, right? These places have already said, we are raising prices. Prices are going up. It's happening. Now, do I think that these retailers, after having felt the tariff pressure, are then going to say, well, the tariffs are gone now, and we're getting a check from the government, and, this extra cost isn't baked in there anymore? Do you know what? I think we're going to lower prices. Is that something that corporations ever do? Do they ever lower prices? So yeah, we should get that money back. One, because we paid it, and two, because we are going to continue to have to pay it. Not only was this a failed experiment, I don't even want to call it that because we knew what the economic outcome would be. Donald Trump promising jobs, 1 million of which are now gone, 50,000 manufacturing jobs like that vanished. But now we have the extended pressure of the inflation that is going to stick. There's going to be no deflation, right? We're not going to see prices drop because that added tariff pressure isn't there anymore. They're just going to stay. So Donald Trump not only made you pay higher prices because of his tariffs, he will continue making you pay higher prices. And the corporations benefit. They get their money back, they continue to charge us high rates, and they're going to be even more profitable. Are we serious? Is that not the Trump administration in a nutshell? So no, I completely agree, and I'm so supportive of Governor Newsom demanding, give us our check. Where's our refund? Totally on board. And I think that we need to be a lot louder about that. I think that we cannot have people forget just the stupidity that was fucking the tariff policy. It's not even policy. It is Donald Trump operating like a mob boss. He loved the tariffs, one, because he liked saying the word, because he's a little goober. And he's like, well, I can say tariff. I can pronounce tariff. I cannot slur through saying tariff. I really like this word. We love the tariffs. We love saying tariff. I think that was it. I think it's just like a little vocal stim for him. But also because he used it to put pressure on executives, on world leaders, on anyone who he didn't like or wanted something from, whether it be a little gold trophy from Tim Cook or, more golf courses from the Gulf states. Donald Trump got what he wanted out of this, and we got fucking screwed, as we always do when it comes to Donald Trump. That is what happened to consumers today. So no, Governor Newsom is right. He won the first battle. Hopefully he's winning the next so we can get a little cash back. But we are going to continue to talk about it and cover it all. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around at the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. We need independent media more than ever. We are going to keep on calling it out. Until next time, I'll see you soon.